Tell him, McCluskey. Tell him what time it is.
Little Hand says it's time to rock and roll.
All you people are so scared of me.
Come quietly or there will be trouble.
Man, that's just me.
I'm Batman.
This is Sparta!
There is a tiger in the bathroom!
I'm an excellent driver.
If it bleeds, we can kill it.
Pop quiz, hotshot.
Keep the change, you filthy animal.
Who are you?
Buddy, I am the Dragon Warrior.
You? Him? He's a panda. You're a panda. What are you gonna do, big guy? Sit on me?
Hello and welcome to this week's Monday Movie Show. Not on a Tuesday this week, not on a Monday even, but on a Sunday. Yeah, we're all over the place again.
People are so used to us, so we're not even technically late. So even though we're past 9 o'clock live, that is on the 13th of March, we're not technically late considering the show goes out normally tomorrow night. So we're around about 23 hours and 49 minutes early.
Yeah, it would have been 9 o'clock-ish, but I was at a screening of something, so I was rushing to get back for.
Still 23 hours and 49 minutes early.
Yeah. It is the show on the 13th. It would have normally been the 14th of March, but we are, as I said, 23 hours early. And we're going through, as usual, collection of movies, some news, everything else, and reviews, which will be including these films.
Yeah, it's not technically a horror movie in a way, so it's billed as a folklore tale with the witch, and then we have the next in the Divergent series, Allegiant, very strange stop motion animation film for adults with Anomalisa. You just heard a clip there, which at the start of the show, which was from the previous film, and so this is the third in the series of the Kung Fu
Is that Kung Fu Titles?
Yeah, Kung Fu Panda series, so Kung Fu Panda 3, and then I got the short straw again, comedy in the biggest air quote possible with 50 Shades of Black.
Yeah, and then of course we'll have the DVD section after that, which will have these films.
Drama with a hint of dark comedy with The Dressmaker, and then horror with Extraction, horror with Backtrack, and then thriller with Extraction. It's kind of bode well for tonight's show, isn't it? You've got war thriller with Hyena Road, and then to round things off, Dragon Blade.
Yeah. So, a bit of a mix this week. We've got, really, I think, pretty much something for everyone, haven't we?
Yeah, horror, animation, action, sort of.
Sort of.
Sort of. Comedy on the biggest strokes possible. So
yeah.
Diverse mix.
Start off though as usual with a bit of movie news. I've just got one piece of news here, but you've got a whole load of them, so I'll just do mine quickly. The next Star Trek movie, Star Trek Beyond, is going to be having some reshoots done. The reshoots are apparently to include new scenes of a either new character or replacement of a character, with a new actress being brought into the film by the name of now I'm gonna butcher this so badly because I just struggle, but Shura Agdashlu.
Yeah, I would have pronounced it Shura Agdashlu, so
yeah, just stop showing off. If you don't know the name, you will recognise her. She's been in lots of things in TV shows and films over the last sort of 5 or 10 years. And I mean, she's been noticeable from things like the 24 TV series, and she was just recently in the sci-fi TV series The Expanse. So you should recognise her. As I say, it's not known whether or not she's going to be playing a new character. She's been supposedly cast as the High Command of the Federation. But whether or not that's going to be replacing an actor or an actress that already played that role, or if it's a new scene with a new character, we don't know. But I'm actually a little bit worried about this because of the fact that the film is only 4 months away. July 22nd it's supposed to be released.
July 2nd is the earliest that it's out in Bulgaria.
Yeah, and that's then if she's got any scenes that require special effects or anything like that, then obviously the time on board on that as well to get the effects and everything done and then get it out for release. So that's going to be it's not a good sign to be doing reshoots this late into the production.
It's very, very tight. The latest I've ever heard of a film getting reshoots and getting released. I can't remember the name of the film off the top of my head. All I know, it was an indie horror film, and it was finished. They were still doing reshoots a week before the film was scheduled for release.
I mean, the last time we had anything about big release of getting reshoots, I think, was Jupiter Ascending, and they pushed the film back 6 months.
Yeah, but it is really strange when it comes to big films. So smaller films, they can sort of get away with that if they're just getting like a small little theatrical showing, because then they can get it quickly done and then shipped off pretty much. Whereas a big film, it makes you question a little bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's worrying. And the thing is, a shame. I mean, I don't think Justin Lin will have had any problem, I think, with directing it. It sounds as if they're having to add extra scenes in, then that sounds down to the writing.
Yeah, it just depends on how big these scenes are as well. They could just be minute, like 30 seconds.
It could be. I mean, it's another thing, oddly enough, because I'm a big Star Trek fan, so I know all the other things, all the other films and all the TV series and all. There was a whole thing with the sixth Star Trek film, The Undiscovered Country, the one that was the last one to have all the original crew in it. And there were scenes that were, I don't know if they were filmed and cut out for the theatrical release or they were filmed afterwards and added, but there's entire scenes which feature a whole bunch of other characters and actors that aren't anything to do with it, and it cuts back and forth between them, and I don't know if it breaks it up, but it is notable that those scenes were added for after the cinema release of that. So it's not the first time it's happened in Trek to add new scenes.
Yeah, it's still it's a very it's a weird anomaly to have very close to the release of specifically a big film like Star Trek Beyond.
Yeah.
I'm just as big as a Star Trek fan as you are, so I'm more Star Trek than I am Star Wars. I had Star Trek encyclopedias and stuff like that. I wasn't a Trekkie or a Trekker. I wasn't that bad into it, but yeah, I was still a bigger Star Trek fan, so I'll be there pretty much day one to see the film. So let's hope it's not going to mess the film up that much.
Yeah, we'll see.
News I got quite a bit of news, but they're not like huge, massive, earth-shattering pieces of news. They're just bits and bobs that trickled out, because we only did a show previously on Tuesday, so the gap between the show that we did last and this one is very small, so the news hasn't been explosive. But there's still a few bits and bobs thrown out there, including, according to Entertainment Weekly, Tim Burton has confirmed that Beetlejuice 2 is not happening right now, and that Burton did not see it, that he was actually developing it. It was took out of context. So another one of those ones where an interview with Tim Burton and then the journalist took whatever he said out of context, thinking that he said, oh, by the way, my next film is Beetlejuice 2. It's not happening at the moment.
Well, I'm not so worried about that, because it's the whole thing of bringing back films again now is the trend. Saying that, I've just come from a screening, as I say, and before it there was a trailer for the Alice Through the Looking Glass, which I don't know. Is it him that's directing it, or is it someone else taking over?
I think it's somebody else who's taking over on it. Yeah.
So, okay. It still looks just wacky, crazy still, but
I don't like the look of it, to be honest.
I'm not a fan of the first one. Well, the original I love. I have a fond place in my heart for it because I grew up with it. But even though I don't really like musicals, but the new one I was never into. Yeah,
it just doesn't have that sort of like darkness feel to it. It's sort of like the Ghostbusters trailer with all the too shiny CGI and all that kind of stuff. Whereas if they went with American McGee, who was a video game maker, he did American McGee's Alice. I would much prefer to see that darker sort of like area of Alice rather than the happy joy stuff. So I don't like the look of it, to be honest. Danny Boyle has confirmed that Trainspotting 2 has begun shooting in Scotland. Boyle took to his Facebook page and just said, we're up in Scotland, filmed Trainspotting 2 just now.
That's good, but I don't think it's going to really help. It's not sort of, because I'm actually involved in some of the sort of the film production scene in Scotland, in particular in Glasgow, and it's a bigger scene than you would believe. There are a lot of people here involved trying to get things started and going, and they're just not happening because of the fact that there isn't the infrastructure here to run a movie industry, which is a shame because there's definitely the potential for it here. It's nice to know that they're filming something here, but the question is, if it wasn't Trainspotting 2, would it be happening? And to be honest, I don't know.
Yeah, and isn't this Danny Boyle's first proper sequel?
I think it's his only sequel. There's not even any proper sequel. There's not even. Yeah.
And I might have been involved like a producer on like 28 weeks later or whatever, but I'm talking as director.
Oh, okay.
He hasn't directed a sequel, has he?
I don't think so, no.
He's sort of like Neil Marshall in a way. I'm trying to think if Neil Marshall's ever directed a sequel to any of his films that he's done, because he didn't direct The Descent 2.
No. Did he do... No, wasn't. I was trying to think it was something else, but it's not him.
And that's the only sequel I can think of any of the projects that he's actually done. He's gone off the radar, actually, Neil Marshall. But yeah, Danny Boyle, he's one of those directors who sort of like has an eclectic quiver when it comes to his films, because if you look at his oeuvre that he's done, he only just needs to step into animation, doesn't he? Because I don't think he's done an animated film.
Could do a Charlie Kaufman.
Yeah, or a Martin Scorsese or something like that, who went off into the kids film with Hugo, so we're just waiting for something like that from him. Deadline are reporting that Halle Berry is in talks to join the cast of Kingsman 2 as the head of the CIA. She will also return in the third film. Julianne Moore is also in talks to join the cast.
Yeah, I saw this and I was a bit kind of, I don't know. But
I like the idea of Julianne Moore.
Yeah, I have no problem with Julianne Moore doing anything, even if she's doing terrible things like Seventh Son.
Nobody wants that though.
Yeah, and nobody wants Kingsman 2 to be like Seventh Son by any means, or like Kick-Ass 2 for a follow-up to an original brilliant film by Matthew Vaughn. This is fine. I mean, I don't really necessarily know that I like the idea of Halle Berry doing it. Halle Berry, I think some roles work with her and some roles don't.
Monsters Ball works with her. Gothica doesn't.
And things like doing. I'm kind of just reminded of Die Another Day.
Catwoman.
Oh dear, no! Please don't remind me of that.
Nobody wants to be reminded of that. Will Smith is set to star in a big film for Netflix, because Netflix is actually expanding out. They're supposedly spending around about $4 billion this year on new properties, including films and TV series. So they've got Will Smith to do one, along with director David Ayer. So David Ayer is going to direct the project, and that's it. It's only going to be, all is known about the project is it's going to be called Bright, and that's all.
See, I think Netflix should, and as much as there might be people who go, oh yeah, great, Netflix, we get to watch it straight away. If there's something they've done which is cinematic and it's something that would work on a big screen, I think Netflix even should release films in cinema, and then just basically have the rights for showing it exclusively after that on Netflix. Don't give it, don't sell it on to anyone else to be shown on television or anything like that, or Sky or anything like any pay-per-view things. Just have it on Netflix.
Just to go off on a slight tangent, I know I was going off on a slight tangent, but did you hear about the founder of Napster? Now, everybody should know who Napster is. There was sort of like, in a way, the progeny when it comes to illegal downloads when it regarding music.
Wasn't that Sean Parker? No? Something
like that, but then they went off and came back and rebranded themselves, where they did start charging and sort of had a subscription service.
Yeah.
Well, the guy who created Napster is now coming up with a new idea where you can rent films that have just started to be shown in the cinema. So when you go to the cinema, you can rent them the same day, and it's going to supposedly cost
about $50 or
$50 per film.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, whereas us in this country, it's only still small films, but we've got Curzon on Demand. So all these indie films might be shown in the small little cinemas, but Curzon on Demand has them on there for about £7, £7 to £9. So the difference in price is astronomical. I know they're big films, but still, if it does manage to come over here, I know it's licensing rights and all that kind of stuff, it's a minefield. But imagine spending £30 to £50 just to rent a film.
Well, I mean,
you can't be bothered to go to a cinema. I'll find a cinema close by that's showing it.
But you know what that will do? That will make people actually just do it in their homes as like home cinema set. Like, I've got the home cinema set up with projector and everything. It's not actually set up at the moment because I moved. and I haven't got it set up yet. But I have that capability at home, so it would just be a case of getting together, 5 friends, everyone pays 10 quid what they pay at the cinema, and just come and sit there and watch it in the luxury of a living room, and not having to deal with other people there other than people you know. And
yeah, even though I sort of like hate the cinema at times, I still prefer the sort of like the big screen.
I do, yeah,
as well. Cinema, I love that kind of feel. So for me, I will always go to the cinema. It's just I now handpick my seats that I want to sit in, so I know that I'm going to be away from a lot of people, because I just don't like sitting next to people or beside people when going to see a horror film, for example, because you're just going to get idiots laughing and giggling all the way through it. So it's annoying. Daisy Ridley is in talks to star in Lara Croft, the reboot of the Tomb Raider film, which has been directed by Ro Utag.
You're more interested in this, so what's your view on this? You think that's good? I mean, it's obvious casting, but is it good casting?
Yeah, it's good casting. I think it's probably right. This should have been teenager, but is there very many teenage actresses out there? I think
they'd have to go to TV really for it, not cinema. There wouldn't be anyone established in the cinema.
Yeah, so I think Daisy Ridley is actually a good call on it. So yeah, it's a decent choice, that actually, Daisy Ridley. Speaking on the Nerdist podcast, these are 2 small little silly stories. Nerdist podcast, J.J. Abrams has revealed that him and Steven Spielberg met to discuss writing a script for a sequel to Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Well, Bob Hoskins unfortunately is no longer with us, so we couldn't have him back. I don't know how to feel about this, because I love Who Framed Roger Rabbit. It is a great film. It's one of those rare ones. The only other one being really Cool World, which mixes live action with animation properly and does it really well. But I mean, I know they would do it and it would be good gimmickly. I don't know that it would be good. I mean, maybe they'd have to do something to reference the whole thing of how animation has changed in the last 10-15 years. That would maybe be good, but other than that, I don't see a positive outcome of that.
Yeah, neither do I. And the last piece of news, the Assassin's Creed movie, which is out in December, is going to be the first film, in my knowledge, to offer pre-order bonuses. So you can pre-order your tickets to go and see the Assassin's Creed movie. This is only for America, but depending on the price that you pay, depends on the item that you get. So if you spend $15, you get a ticket to the film, and you'll also get a hidden toy blade, sort of like replica thing. If you spend
because that's gonna go well with people in the cinema with a hidden blade thing.
Trust me, it gets worse. If you spend $60, you'll get a ticket to the film also, and a replica statue of Michael Fassbender's character in the film. There is the ultimate tier, and if you spend $1,200, you do get a ticket, but you also get a replica crossbow.
It's them. They're taking the gaming marketing into the films, because obviously it's a game adapted for film. So they're trying to use the gaming market of buy this and get the extra, the the extra content, exclusive extra content depending on where you buy it and stuff like that, aren't they? I hate things like this on films, because it doesn't show true reflection of the film. It just shows, there's fanboys there that are going to go mental over it, and
exactly. Just stop it.
Yeah.
Leave films the way films is. Video games, it works. Films, it won't.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Box Office Top 10, which, as we'd done the show last week on Tuesday and this week on Sunday, although technically it's the same week, it means that there's not been a change to the top 10 yet. It will be updated during the week on Wednesday. So it's the same as last week, so we'll just be really quick going through this. Starting number 10 with The Other Side of the Door.
Yeah, I thought the film itself has got a good setting in India, but it never ever utilizes the set, and it's down to the director Johannes Roberts. He's a director who hasn't had a decent track record when it comes to the films that he's created, but yeah, the film itself is a lot of style and very little substance, pretty much no scares whatsoever, decent creature effects, and that's pretty much it.
We'll skip over the Met Opera release of Manon Lescaut at 9 and go to Spotlight at 8.
Yeah, we both really like Spotlight. It's got its problems, but whether it's Oscar winner, it's debatable, but we could go into that all night anyway. But yeah, it's still a really good, interesting drama.
And number 7 is The Revenant.
Yeah, we've said pretty much everything we can about The Revenant. Again, it's another one of those films where it has its problems, but it is still pretty on the edge of your seat, and it's very relentless.
Yep. How to Be Single at number 6.
Rubbish comedy movie.
Okay, number 5, Alvin and the Chipmunks, The Road Chip.
Yeah, it's not as like head banging against the wall kind of films where it'll annoy the hell out of you, but it's still not that good.
It's still got more of a comment though than How to Be Single. Number 4 is Grimsby.
I've not seen it.
Yeah, it's a film which has a lot of questionable bad humour in it. I think I don't think it works really as a comedy film. It has action sequences as well. It doesn't really know if it wants to be an action film or a comedy film, but it's Sacha Baron Cohen doing a lot of what he does again, rude jokes and mixing in some questionably bad taste jokes in this one as well. Yeah. Number 3 is Deadpool.
Yeah, it's got a brilliantly fourth wall breaking kind of sense of humour to it. It's stupidly violent. It has the very typical Marvel film. At the moment I'm having an argument with somebody on Twitter on why I don't like Marvel films, because I think they're repetitive. They pretty much follow exactly the same blueprint, each one of the films. They feel exactly the same, and they have this problem where the bad guys are one-dimensional, and it has to end off on a big massive set piece which pretty much carbon copies the previous film. And now this person is saying, oh, you could put that into horror genre or anything like that. It's a big, huge, massive argument which I can't be bothered even to have with people, but there's loads of reasons why, and Deadpool has that problem. Deadpool has the problem where the bad guy is very, very flat and one-dimensional. It also has the problem where it does need to shoehorn in this big, huge, massive, explosive set piece in the last 20 minutes because it has to. It's a superhero movie. It's an action film. It needs that set piece there. But still, Deadpool is sort of like slightly head and shoulders above some of the Marvel films because of the humour and because of the violent nature and over-the-topness of the movie itself. It's very self-aware of what it is.
Number 2 is Hail Caesar.
I haven't seen it yet.
You still haven't seen it? I really think you should see this because it is a great Coen Brothers film. It's got some really great performances in it from pretty much everyone in the film, and it's just kind of like an ode to Hollywood, the old Hollywood of the 1950s, and the style that it's got. It doesn't really have much of a story apart from the very basics of a kidnapping plot. It wouldn't be a Coen Brothers film without that, but it is basically just a few sort of short kind of unrelated skits set around the productions in Hollywood, and they are brilliant even for someone who doesn't like that sort of era musicals thing. There's a whole sequence of musical stuff in it which I really, really loved and was getting into.
Oh.
Yep. Number 1, so of course the number 1 still as last week is London Has Fallen.
Yeah, it's terrible. It really is terrible, considering that when Olympus Has Fallen came out, it was released alongside White House Down, and both of them had pretty much... White House Down was going for the cheese factor, it was going for the over-the-top stupidness, and it had problems with its really bad CGI. However, it's sort of like leave your brain at the door and get entertained for 90 minutes. Olympus Has Fallen was more of the serious one. It seems that London Has Fallen has decided to go on its comedy roots, kind of, even though it's not a comedy. But it's laughable because of the fact that how ridiculous the film is. It's boring, it's really badly mundane, it plods along terribly, it's just awful. It's awful from minute 1 to minute 90 when the credits roll. It's just, it's a series that I hope doesn't... It's fallen down the Taken route, where the first one was actually not bad, and then each successive sequel gets worse and worse. I just hope that it stops there, and... Gerard Butler doesn't get his own way and sets the next one in like Scotland or we need to go somewhere like Paris has fallen or Australia has fallen or something like that, because I just want them to stop.
Yeah, it's just it feels rushed. Basically, it's because it's just make a sequel and do that, blah blah blah. Same again but different, but same again but different, and yeah,
it's awful.
Anyway, shall we move on to some reviews?
Yes, The Witch, done by first-time director Robert Eggers. It's one of those horror films where it's become the darling of the horror genre scene. Last year it was The Babadook, and it follows. They were both going around the big, huge, massive conventions, and they were causing a stir, specifically at South by Southwest, where they were just getting a lot of plaudits. And so this year it is The Witch, and again, first-time director in Robert Eggers. It's centered in New England in 1630s, and it centers around a family, William and Catherine, who's played by Ralph Ineson and Katie Dickey. They've been thrown out of the community where they live, and so they need to seek some new land. They come across this land where it's on the outskirts of this forest. You fast forward a few years, they've established a house and a barn, and they've got some livestock and some corn, etc. The daughter, Thomasine, who's played by Anna Taylor-Joy, she's playing peekaboo with the youngest child of the family. The child goes missing, and it could be down to supernatural things, and then pretty much all hell breaks loose. Now, the clip that I'm going to play, it's not like a very talkative kind of clip, but it gives you a feel of the aspects of what the film is like.
Scratchy! What's happening?
Thomason, take the children outside.
What does this today? What does this? His mouths are sealed up. Oh, God. William! William!
Hold it. Children, away from this. Thomason, now.
He'll break his jaws. Christ.
So in that clip there, I'm not going to explain who it was, but you've got the youngest son, Caleb, who's played by Harvey Scrimshaw. And the film itself is just about all about pretty much paranoia, and could a malevolent force be at work? Could it be something else? Could it be one of the daughters who was causing all of this? Or could it even be boiling down to a black goat that the two younger children seem to be absolutely obsessed with? Now, the way the film plays out is it's devoid of any kind of colour, and the sort of like the script is very 1630, so the way they spoke there, that's exactly the way the script is written. It's got thus and thee and very Shakespearean-esque kind of dialogue, not to the whole nth of the Shakespeare stuff, because that would grate on people a lot, but don't expect to go in and see this film and hear very straightforward dialogue. It is all of very sort of like broken dialogue, because there wasn't very much teachings back in that period of time, and so it's just the way the language was actually done, and so the colour is evaporated from the film as well. When you've got reds on the screen, they're very muted reds. Pretty much the film itself could have worked as a black and white movie, and I think that might have added a little bit more depth to it, but that's just adding like another cherry on top of a sundae where you've got 7 already, because the film itself oozes with tension. It absolutely pours with it. It's from the second that the film starts, if you can get into the movie from then you're going to be so gripped by it that if somebody walks up behind you, taps you on your shoulder, you'll end up smacking them, and they'll go flying so far they'll go out of the wall of the cinema, because it is that tense, or you'll end up just clinging onto the ceiling like a cat because you've jumped up so high. However, if you do not get into the film from pretty much, I would give it about 5-10 minutes, then you're going to feel lost with the movie, because the movie sort of like snowballs after the hour mark, and then it just never stops from there. It just constantly pounds things at you with lots of screaming and lots of nastiness on screen, and things that when you're watching it, you're thinking to yourself, like one critic has said, I can't believe what they're showing, it should be something that we shouldn't be seeing. You feel that, you feel like what am I actually watching here? Is this actually happening? And it's all down to how each one of the actors has played their part. I think praise has to definitely go to Anna Taylor-Joy, who plays Thomasine, and Harvey Scrimshaw, who plays Caleb, the two older children of the family, because they play their parts absolutely brilliantly. They put a lot of actors, big actors, to shame. So it's a movie that's going to divide a lot of people. It definitely will. There will not be everybody going, this is an absolutely fantastic film. There will be people out there just going, I don't get this, because when I went to see the film itself, it was during the day. There was 6 people in the screen of the film, and 3 of us got the film. So it was pretty much split down the middle. 3 people they walked out of it, and I heard them go, you know what, that was terrible, that movie, that was really bad, I was bored throughout. Yet there was myself and 2 other people going, that's going to creep on the start, I'm going to remember about this scene, I'm going to remember about that scene. And I love these kind of films. Very slow burn, but if you let it get to you, it really will get to you.
I have a question about it, because I saw the trailer for it, and it really quite freaked me out. It was really effectively a good horror trailer. But I thought, I didn't know, obviously with a trailer you never know if it's going to be a good sort of tell of the film. Have you seen the trailer for it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is the trailer, because can you say then, is the trailer an effectively truthful trailer? Because a lot of them can be misleading in ways.
To be honest, I don't like the way the trailer was cut, because the way the trailer is cut, it sort of like gives too much of the film away. It could have just easily been a very simplistic trailer of the camera, or they could just pretty much show the scene where the baby's gone missing, and then once the baby's gone missing, the camera panning to the forest, and then the camera just panning back, and then you just see the words "the witch," and then the trailer should have ended there. That's all the trailer should have been, because it is one of those films where you don't want spoils, and I think there is stuff in the trailer which does spoil the film itself. But it is, if you were very unnerved by the trailer, then you've seen nothing yet until you've watched the whole film. Because the film itself, it goes into areas which there is one scene which, if it does not shock you, and I mean majorly shock you, it is, you sit there going, I can't believe they actually put that in a 15-rated film. Then there's something seriously wrong with you, because it is a very just like unnerving, nastily, really sort of like visceral kind of scene. Not visceral in the gore sense, visceral in the sort of like the just the way horror can actually get to you. It's that kind of scene. Right,
I'm probably not going to see it then.
Yeah, I promise not.
Yeah. Okay, on to the Divergent series, Allegiant, which is the 3rd movie in the series. It's based on the 3rd book of 3 books, but we're having 4 films. So it's doing the usual thing of splitting a book in half. Apparently, from what I've been told, people who read the books and things I've read about things, it hasn't fully faithfully followed the book. They have changed things in this one, but apparently that is for the better, according to other things. It is directed by Robert Schwenke, who did the 2nd film, Insurgent. He didn't do the 1st film. That was Neil Berger. But he does carry on from where the 2nd film left off. Spoilers for the previous films for anyone listening. You had in the 2nd one, there was the revelation that there were people outside of the walls of the city of Chicago where they're all set. That the city of Chicago is kind of an experiment meant up to try and let humanity basically recover from genetic damage of some sort. And then this end of the 2nd film had all the people sort of looking to walk and go outside of the city. Start of this film, that is all put on hold. You have the new leader of the city, Evelyn, played by Naomi Watts, who has made sort of a kind of a martial law declaration that nobody is to go outside the city. We don't know what's going on out there. The city itself is in a complete and utter sort of chaos because of the whole thing of the previous films, and the government and people no longer there or in charge being killed off. And you have the main characters of Triss, played again by Shailene Woodley, and Theo James playing 4, who decide that they are going to have to break this and get outside the city and try and go out to find what is out there. They do sort of go out there and find there are people out there from this kind of a group of people that are the ones in charge of the sort of the experiment and working on the whole thing of the genetic purity, of which they find that Triss to be the only person out of everyone in the city who is actually a result of the experiment working and showing that humanity can correct itself, with her being the only pure one left. Meanwhile, back in the city, of course, all hell is starting to break loose between what's left of the factions, and you have the sort of the groups all sort of almost starting in a sort of civil war, and that all building up, which we'll play a clip from that just now.
The Allegiant. That's what you're calling yourselves.
Amity just doesn't seem appropriate anymore.
So what exactly are you Allegiant to? The faction system?
The factions kept Chicago peaceful for a long time.
Well, I wouldn't know about that because I was forced out of my faction. I gave up my life, my child, everything.
I understand your anger, Evelyn, I do. But the way forward?
The way forward has already begun. I know I said I'd be alone, but I'm not Candor, and I'm not Amity. So I will lie, and I will fight if I have to.
You see these scars? I wasn't born Amity. And I can assure you, I'm not afraid to fight for what I believe in.
So, with the Divergent films, because you can't not compare it to all the other sort of teen ones you have. I mean, you had the Twilight movies, you've had Harry Potter, which was all these sort of teens, the ones that kind of started it off. You've then had gone into Hunger Games, and then you've had more recently the ones that have been successful and gone on to have their second or third movies, with Divergent films and the Maze Runner films. And my view on it, the way I look at the Divergent films, is that the first one I really did like. I actually thought the first Divergent film was better than the first Hunger Games film. I think though that Insurgent, the second Divergent film, was a big misstep for me. It decided to drop plotting and character in charge to get action, so they could get loads and loads of action sequences and do some, which had admittedly some fairly okay action sequences, but it's not how the franchise started off, and I wanted to keep it, more that. I wanted a bit more the same feel of it. Allegiant does have some more of that feeling of Divergent and not Insurgent, but it still has these kind of moments where it does turn into action moment, do the action scene and then get on with it. It does have moments where it kind of feels it's having a lot of kind of filler at times, where people are just standing around talking, giving exposition. There's a whole scene where you have Triss talking with Jeff Daniels' character, who is this guy in charge of the genetic purity people, and he's trying to explain to her the whole situation, and you're just going there going, you don't need to explain all this. We know this from the previous films. We know this, what's going on. We know this just from them getting here and what they've been told on the way here, in the beginning of this film. So it does feel as if they've gone, well, we've got all this stuff, but we're splitting it in half, so we need to make up for some stuff. Again, this is going to be difficult to tell until we see the last one, which is going to be called Ascendant. They're not calling it Allegiant Part 1 and Part 2. They're calling it Allegiant, and then the next part is going to be called Ascendant. And if it's going to be like the Hunger Games films, this does have a feel. The issue comparing it against Hunger Games films, the third Hunger Games films did feel like a half a film, and it felt incomplete, and it felt weak, and then the fourth one came out, and you had this weird thing where the second part made the first part better, but then the second part on its own was not that great. And the weird thing is with Allegiant, it does feel more of an independent one. It doesn't feel like it needs the next one. It does feel like a separate chapter. I wonder if it's going to be the same when the fourth one comes out, but I do think that they managed to do better with Allegiant than they did with Hunger Games Part 3. And definitely better than they did with Insurgent, with Divergent Part 2. It does struggle and suffer with some bad bits of dialogue, some more emphasis a little bit on action in some parts, but it's not as bad as the second one is. So it's a step up. It's a good, worthy sequel. I enjoyed it. I did get into it. There are moments where it is very kind of, unless you're following it and you get into it, you'll find yourself kind of laughing at some of the bad dialogue, but it's no more corny than the previous two.
So it is a step up from the second one, because it's a rare occasion that we agree. We definitely fully agreed on the second one, because it just misstepped too many times, and so from what I've been hearing, a lot of people, though, it seems to be too muddled, the movie, and it does feel like a part one also. I thought because I found that by the end of this one, I felt kind of like, okay, yeah, there's more to come, but you set up this bit, you've done this bit, it kind of has a build up to a kind of an end piece, and it does that, sets it up, and then resolves that, and then it's kind of like, right now we've got to look forward to this, and then that's going to be the next film. Whereas the Hunger Games did this whole thing of we're setting up, there's going to be this big thing, there's going to be this big thing, there's going to be this big thing, end. That's it. It's, you know. Well, the last Hunger Games film, which we're reviewing on next week's show, has the Lord of the Rings kind of thing that comes to the end, and it has about 20 different endings. Yeah. So I really hope that the final Divergent film doesn't do that, and we're sitting in the cinema, because I've yet to see Allegiant. I was supposed to have gone to see it, but I had no time to. I will eventually get round to watching it, because I've already seen the first two, so I need to continue on with the series.
I think you'll like it, but I think you'll find it's not great, but it's definitely a step up from Insurgent, which was
that's what I'm hoping on, because it can be worse than the previous one, but it's going to take something really astronomically awful to be worse than the second one, because I was bored out of my skull when it was just throwing CGI elements at you. It reminded you a lot of the scenes that happened in the Zack Snyder movie, what's the name of it?
Zack Snyder movie,
the one with all the girls.
Sucker Punch.
Sucker Punch, yeah. It reminded me a lot of that. Sucker Punch, and I hate Sucker Punch.
I didn't quite get that feel from it. I have, there are issues with Sucker Punch, but I have things I like about the director's cut, because it's a different thing. But I do think definitely there's far too much action in it, and again, there's far too much action in Insurgent. So I get where you're coming from there, but I didn't make that connection really. Yeah. I definitely didn't make that connection with Allegiant though.
Yeah, well, next film then, completely different tact of film, completely different genre. It's stop motion animation of sorts. It's a very different kind of stop motion animation, because if you look at the characters, there's something that distracts you a lot when you're watching the film itself. If you look to where the eyes are, it looks like every single character is wearing glasses. It's just the fact that there is this cut that goes from their eyes along the side of their faces, because it enabled the animators to replace the foreheads and stuff like that to make the animation process more simpler. And so it's not like the stop motion animation that we see from an Aardman film or even Leica Studios, but it's sort of like got that kind of stance to it. And the kind of film, when you do watch it, it's directed by Charlie Kaufman and Duke Johnson, and it's got a Kaufman feel to it. Kaufman doesn't do very simple films, and this one is aimed towards adults. It's specifically aimed at adults, and it centers around a character who's voiced by David Thewlis, who plays Michael Stone, and he pretty much sees everybody for exactly the same in a world where it's just become so mundane for him. He plays a person who was wrote a book about customer service, and that's his speciality in customer service, and so he's ending off to a seminar, and he ends up getting a taxi after landing in LA, and the taxi driver is yabbering on about, I can understand your accent, it sounds like you're British, do you come from England, and blabbling on a little bit, whereas Michael Stone, Thewlis' character, doesn't want that. He just wants to get to his hotel room. And every single character he meets along the way is exactly the same person, voiced by Tom Noonan. So Tom Noonan voices pretty much every single character in the film apart from two. And so his wife has got exactly the same face and the same voice as his son, as the taxi driver, as the busboy at the hotel, as the manager at the hotel. So when Michael Stone gets to his hotel room and he hears this separate voice, this voice from a character called Lisa Helselman, who's voiced by Jennifer Jason Leigh, he's instantly drawn towards her. Here's a clip.
Hi. Oh my God. It's you.
Hi. I'm sorry to bother you.
No, not at all. Do you want to come in? Or?
I was just looking for someone. I think I've got the wrong...
Who's there, Em?
It's Mr. Stone. Michael Stone.
Really? Oh my God. Oh my God. Hello? Oh, do I look awful? I was just taking my makeup off. Oh my God. Ugh, don't look at me.
Hello. No, you look lovely.
I can't believe you're in our room. We came here from Akron just to hear you speak. Oh my God, please don't look at me.
Well, I'm certainly very flattered.
You can look at me.
Emily.
Now in that clip there, there's actually 2 female characters and 1 male character. So it shows you the kind of life that Theolis's character is going through, and it pretty much spirals out of control throughout the film because he's constantly questioning why he's there, why are people there, what is life like. It's existentialism in other words, but in the mind of Kaufman, and that is a very dangerous place to step because his mind is a very interestingly strange one. If you've seen his previous films, you've seen the kind of oeuvre that he does, and the film itself, it never sort of like follows the straight normal path that you would expect a drama to follow, especially a one that is stop motion animation. And it's attractive to look at, it's beautiful to look at, the way the characters feel, it's at times you sort of forget that you're watching a stop motion animated film. You apart from the disjointed bit on the eyes, because that was constantly distracting me all the time, you feel like you're watching a standard film. When Michael is in his hotel room and he decides to watch some television to pass the time, it's a drama that's on the TV, and every single character is exactly the same, but one of them is a female jumping for joy at some news that she's got, and another one is the mother telling her to calm down. Yet it's through Michael's eyes, it's exactly the same character. And so it's a bit of a muddled film story-wise. The story does get a bit tangled in itself from its simplistic elements. It then tries to interleave all, like I said, this existentialistic kind of feel to it, and it just gets a bit too caught up on that. So that's its biggest letdown. It's its story. It's the way it actually flows. It's a very slow-paced movie. Pretty much nothing happens through the entirety of the film itself because it is just a character piece about the relationship between Michael and Lisa's character there, and how Michael sees something different in Lisa that he doesn't see in every single other person that he comes across. It's not for children, definitely for adults. There is a sex scene in the film which is more uncomfortable to watch than the sex scene in Matt Stone and Trey Parker's I forgot the name of the film. Damn it!
Team America.
Why did I forget Team America? My brain has gone to mush tonight, but yeah, the puppet sex scene in Team America World Police makes you laugh. The sex scene in Anomalisa, I should just stop reviewing films tonight. Just will make you cringe because it is really uncomfortable. It's an uncomfortable scene to watch. It's the kind of scene that if you went to see, for example, Donkey Punch. Donkey Punch was the last film that I was stupidly uncomfortable watching when I was in the cinema. This slightly made me uncomfortable as well because, let's just say, he likes to make the figures very anatomically correct. Whereas in Team America World Police, it was all up to your very funny imagination. You have no imagination in Anomalisa, and so yeah, it's a good film, but it's definitely for adults. But prepare for it to be a very slow burn movie.
Okay. Right, changing completely tone then of animation to another animated film this week of Kung Fu Panda 3. Directed by Alessandro Carloni and Jennifer Yu. It is the continuation from the previous ones. You have the whole thing of the Po, voiced again by Jack Black, has sort of leading all the is it Famous Five? The Furious Five. The Furious Five. In sort of, battles against anyone that's sort of attacking the village or anything. He is sort of called upon to be prepared to fight a warrior that is kind of coming through from the spirit world. The character of Kai, voiced by J.K. Simmons, who is basically collecting chi, the energy of chi, from various sort of masters, and the only person supposedly who can defeat him is someone who is a master of chi. So this being the situation, Po has to find somewhere to learn to, you know, be a master of chi to be able to do that, and finds himself actually finding his genuine father, his own father. Obviously he's been adopted by Mr. Wu from the previous ones. Here you have his panda father turning up, played by Bryan Cranston, who has sort of is amongst the last sort of group of pandas that live in a secret mountain village, and they all supposedly know this secret art of learning how to control and manipulate one's chi. So of course he ends up having to go off and go with them to learn from them and learn their ways. Here's a clip.
Everyone, Lee's back!
They're both back!
He found his son!
He made it!
They're back!
Lee? He found his son!
Everyone else, Lee's back!
Everyone gather around. This is my son.
Hello, hi.
Oh, it's you.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, hi.
I don't know who you are.
Oh, Stripey baby. So beautiful.
You look just like me, but a baby. You're like me, but old. You're like me, but fatter.
Oh, yeah.
You're like me, but with a hat.
So I love the first two Kung Fu Panda films. I've watched them many times and laughed at them and had fun of them each time. This one is pretty much the same. It's good animation, little bits of humour interspersed with it, some good sort of action sequences directed, and fun action with the whole thing of the, you know, the different animals doing all the things, and I mean it's nothing special. It brings nothing special to it that hasn't been in the other films, but it's just more fun going along with, you know, the character and the humour, and it's a 95-minute film which doesn't stay too long, and by the end of it you'll walk out and you'll be, yep, had fun, had a good time, laughed at it. It's got fun for both adults and kids, so it's one to take the family and everyone enjoy. And I mean listening to myself, I sound, you know, as if I'm just kind of like, yeah, it's not bad, it's good. I really enjoyed it, had fun with it, and I just, you know, it was more of the same. I expected that, I got that, and I was really happy with, you know, the result.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I thought I might have been shouted at because I was originally going to be doing the review of the film, but then a few things had to be changed around, and I thought I was going to get shouted at for my kind of feeling about the film itself, because there's nothing overly wrong with the movie. It has a very simple storyline to it, which can be seen as a bit of a letdown because the story is very just simple and basic, but it sort of like fits the film itself. It's a movie that sort of saw what happened with How to Train Your Dragon 2, and how to Train Your Dragon 2 evolved more so on the first one, and added a few more slightly adult elements to it regarding the storyline and how the way it handled certain elements and scenes of life. And Kung Fu Panda 3 pretty much does that. It follows the same kind of blueprints, and so it forces a few emotional scenes in there. It forces a few little scenes in there that adults will probably only get, that young children will not get. And then it does have you heard that clip there, the entertaining kind of stuff when Po has come across his own race, and he's seen different sizes of pandas for the first time, and so he's seen the fat one and the little baby one and all that kind of stuff. So it has the fun joy, it has the fantastic animation as well. There's some beautiful set pieces and scenes in the film itself. Again, like with How to Train Your Dragon 2, you're aghast with it. It might not age very well in about 10 years time, but still just go with it. But yeah, it's just pretty much the same kind of stuff that we've seen before, and that's not a bad thing, but it's not like head and shoulders above a lot of other animated films, because animation over the last 18 months has had a resurgence. There are so many different kinds of animation out there now.
Yeah.
When, for example, Studio Ghibli, I know I'm bringing them up again, but I'm just looking at the way they animate. They used a different kind of animation style to the way America did it. They used pretty much 2D animation, hand-drawn stuff, whereas America did CGI stuff. And now you've got companies that bridge the gap between that. So you've got Leica, who do the stop-motion stuff alongside Aardman Animation. And then you've got the company who did Song of the Sea. And then you've got things like studios like DreamWorks and Disney. But even Disney are looking back at old-fashioned styles to add into the movies to bring more depth in it. So animation has had a resurgence over the 18 months. This will not sort of like bring something different and new to that, but it still is an entertaining family film.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I agree with the whole thing of Disney having resurgent, animation having resurgent. I mean, as I said, I saw a preview. It was the Zootopia, which is an incredible film, and its animation is just it could go very, very badly and wrong with animation, and it looks, even from upcoming things like Secret Life of Pets, that we're going to get even more great animation films coming up this next year. Yeah. But and Kung Fu Panda is one of the ones that's up there. It's a great fun animation film. I laughed all the way through this. There was moments in it where I was laughing, and it's just like, not, even some bits where it's not especially funny, but it has a little gag in there, and it just makes you laugh.
Yeah, Secret Life of Pets, I'll probably definitely go and see, because it's from the people who made the Minions.
Yeah.
Despicable Me. So it's my kind of joy thing, but I love the humour of the look of Secret Life of Pets, and I did like the trailer for this, and it's pretty much the trailer. The trailer gives you the feel of what the film is like, and it doesn't deviate from the trailer. So yeah, it's definitely family fun. It seems to, I think it would have been better if it was released around about Easter, so a couple of weeks time rather than now, but still though,
yeah,
it's fun for that.
It'll get a boost then.
Yeah, unlike 50 Shades of Black. The same kind of people who look at other genres of films or other horror films or whatever and destroys them with their parodies. So for everything from Scary Movie to Vampire Suck to all of that kind of stuff, Haunted House as well, it's Marlon Wayans and Michael Tides. Yeah, they've looked at 50 Shades of Grey and they thought 50 Shades of Grey came out last year, let's be a year and a half behind and release a comedy parody on it. And so they've gone and done that. So Marlon Wayans plays Christian alongside the female counterpart, Callie Hawk, who plays Hannah, and it pretty much follows the exact same blueprint as the 50 Shades of Black film. Here's one of the only clips we can play from the film itself, giving you a kind of feel of what the movie's like.
Christian, we have to talk.
You mean like white people?
What's wrong with that?
Well, they just talk a lot. They do it differently than black people do. White people don't like to argue. They like to discuss. And they start throwing around all these big SAT words and putting a lot of emotional guilt on each other. It's just too much to deal with. I like it the black way, where we curse each other out. We may fight, and then we get cool again, but we talk about each other behind each other's back.
What you not gonna do?
Oh, no, what you not gonna do?
You're
not about to knock me. Don't let me get to clapping, boo.
Oh, hell no.
See? That's communication.
Yeah, I know, it stops abruptly, but that's probably a good thing. There's a scene in the film itself, probably it is the only scene that will crack any kind of smile on you. And it's the scene where Wayans' character is actually reading 50 Shades of Grey, and he turns around and says, who wrote this? A 5th grader? And you question yourself, you're actually taking the mickey out of 50 Shades of Grey when you have written this mess that you call a comedy. It recycles every single joke that you've seen in every single parody film released since the dawn of time. Even when the cavemen were parodying each other, they were on with the scrawls on the walls when they were taking the mickey out of somebody being run over by the first wheel. They parody pretty much that. Then they look, when they've run out of jokes to take the mickey out of 50 Shades of Grey, it looks at Magic Mike. And then it looks at other films like it normally does, because it knows that it's got a one joke idea, and not even that and then it just goes, you know what, let's parody Magic Mike and then make it more humorous when we see that something that Marlon Wayans has got is very, very tiny, considering that he's a stripper and it shouldn't be tiny. And honestly, it's absolute horrendousness. It's garbage. It's garbage of the nth degree. It's horrible. There's no way these movies are going to stop because the budgets on them are so minuscule. They're down to like the $1, $2, $3 million budgets, and they make it back in their opening weekend because people are suckers for going to see them at the cinema. So they will never stop. But can't believe he actually makes a career in doing these kind of films.
Unfortunately. Well, that's it for this week's cinema section. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be back with this week's DVD and Blu-rays in the home release section.
From page to screen. So they have 9 times out of 10 they have to send it back to you unopened or just throw it in the garbage can.
Things don't always look exactly as we envision our life to look, but sometimes it works out and turns out even better.
Gregor Fisher, his bacon number is 2 because he was appeared with January Jones in Love Actually, and January Jones and Kevin Bacon appeared in X-Men First Class together.
I've got to say, the very Harold and Kumar 3D Christmas now, that just makes me want to rush out.
It's about the acting, about the writing. That's really what theatre is for me.
Probably had more names than Prince or whatever. Never mind, there's a joke for the oldies. It'd be like, who's Prince? Who's he? I'd just like to see Mr. Freeze hiring his bad guys going, right, okay, so you're a psycho, right, can you ice skate? Head over to iTunes, Spreaker and Stitcher and put in the search box From Page to Screen.
Right, welcome back to this week's Monday Movie Show into the Blu-ray and DVD section where we're looking at these films.
Yep, we have the Kate Winslet Australian movie with The Dressmaker. We have a thriller kind of horror with Backtrack. We have a dumb action movie with Extraction. I'll explain when I get to it. We have I have no idea what Hyena Road is.
It's a war thriller thing.
War thriller. We have a Chinese sort of I don't know if it's a true story or not, but Chinese, classic film with Jackie Chan in it.
My guess is it's martial arts and it's exploring their folklore.
Somewhat, yeah. In Dragon Blade.
Yeah, it sounds about right. And then on top of that, we have our TV movies of the week and our overall movie of the week. But the Blu-ray and DVD top 10 starts off at number 10 with a new entry for Doctor Who complete 9th season.
Yeah, we don't really say anything much about it. I mean, I quite enjoyed Doctor Who this year, but I mean, we don't talk about it much.
Just in case people out there, it's 9th season from when the series came back. When it came back again, so there hasn't just been 9 seasons of Doctor Who. The series has been going on since the 60s, so there is definitely more than 9 seasons. But when it refers to the 9th season, it's when the series actually came back again. Number 9 is Hotel Transylvania 2,
which is really just it's such a disappointment because it's terrible. The animation isn't anything better. The stories is just boring. The characters are boring. The jokes aren't there. It's honestly like someone else went to the second one and goes, oh yeah, we'll do this and we'll make it not funny.
And number 8 is Legend.
Great performances from Tom Hardy as the 2 leads. Apart from that, not much else there to look at. It's a film that relies on that and knows it, I think. So it's a watch for that. It's not a great watch, but it's a watch for the performances.
I just hope that people don't get it mixed up with the Tom Cruise Legend film, because they'll look at the box. Oh, 2 Toms. There's Tom and Tom. So Tom Hardy in Legend, Tom Cruise in Legend.
I love Legend, the one that Tom Cruise was in. That's a great film.
You kind of mixed up that, didn't you? I wonder who would have actually played the devil instead of Tim Curry.
Trying to think we could have had Tom play both roles, good and evil.
Yeah, I actually really like Legend compared to Legend.
I do. I have the Blu-ray that's the American one because it actually has an alternate version on it. The UK one doesn't have that. It just has the one that was released, but the US one has a great sort of alternate version.
That's back when films had the hushpers to be very, very dark.
Yeah.
Kind of movies were very, very dark.
And it's Ridley Scott, which is the weird thing, because people don't realise it's Ridley Scott.
Because it released around about the same time, you had things like Gremlins as well, and you also had Return to Oz, which has a stupidly dark undertone to it. So I love those kind of films. Watch that Legend instead of the Tom Hardy Legend. Number 7 is Inside Out,
which is a fantastic animation film, one best animated film, although I think it may have been given a run for its money if something else had been released in time. There's, you know, it's I really did like it. But I found myself just today really loving another film.
My guess is it's the film that you saw,
yeah,
review-wise.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it was ineligible. It might be eligible. It's probably eligible for next year's. And it'll be there next year's one.
I don't know, because it has been released in America quite a while now, a few weeks or so. I think.
Still, I think there's a cut-off period, so it might have to go up against Finding Dory for next year. So we'll probably guess which one might win that one. And number 6 is Brooklyn,
which I thought was okay. I didn't think it was as amazing as everyone else's. I thought it was very, very flat directorially and visually. I thought it's good acting, good story, but nothing special really. I honestly don't think that it's deserving of all the applause it's had. I don't think it's bad. I just think there's nothing exceptional to it.
And number 5 is Suffragette,
which is more exceptional. It's the problem I have with it is that it's taking a true story and it's centering on a character that's fictional around the events of the true things happening. I wish it had just been faithful to the true characters and had the main character be someone who really was there and following that, and that just is the issue for me why I don't think it's as great as it is. I think it's just it misses the ball. I'm getting my things all mixed up tonight. Yeah, it's a miss in that regard for me. But I did like the film. It's a good film, and it's a great performance by Carey Mulligan.
And number 4 is The Martian,
which I really love. Talking about Ridley Scott again, you know, he's back on top form because of Drew Goddard's writing, because of Matt Damon's performance, because he managed to get it all to come together, and it's a great watch, and I really, really loved it. And I do like sci-fi anyway, but it's got to be good sci-fi, and this is good sci-fi.
And number 3 is Spectre,
which is disappointing. It's not the best Bond film. I think I think it's better than some, but it's kind of in the middle. It's way late. It's far too long. Sam Mendes shouldn't have done a second film. Skyfall was perfectly fine, and then following up with Spectre, it's very lackluster.
I've just read that Drew Goddard wrote the script for the Sinister Six.
Sinister Six, the Marvel one at Sony one.
Yeah, he's the one who's writing this script for Sinister Six.
That might be good then.
And number 2 is a new entry for The Last Witch Hunter,
which I really, really liked. You just thought it was okay, nothing special.
No, I didn't like it.
I thought you thought it was okay, but you just no. I thought you got it. I really, really enjoyed it, and I got into it. I thought it was quite a rich film for a rich world, and I didn't have any problems with it. I got into it, had fun, and enjoyed it. I've actually seen it 3 times now, and enjoyed it each time.
Shows you how much I forgot about the film. I saw it twice. I forgot how much about the film the first time.
No,
I thought it was a pretty forgettable film.
I thought it actually did something kind of a bit slightly fresh with the whole, you know, witches and swords and everything like that, and which is the whole thing of bringing it from having it be kind of old age but also modern day.
I like the creature design of that sort of like spider-esque.
Yeah, the prison thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I like the design of that, but everything else was pretty much straightforward. The stuff we've seen before. And number 1, the highest new entry this week is for Lady in the Van,
which is it's a film which it's kind of like Legend in that it has a great performance in it from Dame Maggie Smith. I can't remember the actor's name who's in it, but he does a good job in the role. I don't think it works the writing with him playing himself and also his writer's self, which is there in sort of third person sort of thing, and I found that really distracting. I also found that obviously it's based on a true character, but the whole thing of that there's points in it where it goes, oh, she never did that, she never did this, and it's kind of like, well, why is it in the story? You know, it's just it's things like that kind of bugged me with it.
Yeah. Well, under the first review of the tonight in the DVD and Blu-ray section.
Yes, The Dressmaker, which is directed by Jocelyn Moorhouse. It is a Australian film with Kate Winslet playing an Australian character who in the... I can't remember when it was, but it's like the 1950s or something, isn't it?
Somewhere in that area there.
Australia. She's returning back to a rural town, which is out in the middle of nowhere. She has been abroad after kind of being forced to leave by events in her past at the town. She comes back to her mother, who is ailing and not in a good way, played by Judy Davis, and finds herself there. She is sort of then a bit kind of upper market after having been abroad in places like Paris and stuff, and in sort of clothing shows, and become sort of good at doing this sort of thing, when she ends up having to at one point getting asked to start making costumes and start making clothing for people, which kind of makes them look a lot more glamorous and amazing than they are. So she also asked then to do other things like make a suit for a character of Tilly, played by Liam Hemsworth, who is sort of one of the local kind of roughnecks of the town, and there may potentially be a sort of spark between them. Here's a clip.
She tells them if they want it done proper, they've got to strip and be measured, because it's a work of art made special for them and no one else. You see, Tilly, I do listen. She tells them that they're all different, even though they're all the same. Too fat, too skinny. You'll be a sight for sore eyes. Anyway, lo and behold, our genius here does make them look different. Less like themselves and more like they want to be, don't you?
You just called me Tilly.
When?
Just then.
Oh, I never.
Yes, you did. And this morning. Twice.
Oh, liar. Oh.
Sounds like this is the most important piece of clothing I'll ever own.
Now, I went into The Dressmaker not knowing what to expect. I had seen the trailer, but it didn't really give me any major idea, which is an impressive fact for a trailer, to kind of get you interested but not really give away a lot of things. And I walked into it and saw it, and I first of all was blown away by Kate Winslet's vocal performance, doing an Australian accent, because I found she was absolutely perfect in it. I genuinely was just blown away by it. I loved it. I got into it. It's a very weirdly sort of quirky, humoured movie. It has some great sort of characters in it that are sort of screwball characters, and this little sort of shanty town sort of feel to it, and everyone knows everyone, and everyone talks about stuff, and there's this whole thing of her and her past and all, and she turns up and everyone's kind of looking at her and in a kind of like, oh, look at her, she's all dressed up, and I really found it to be a fun, almost kind of shocking at some points moments, but not in gross out shocking, just in a kind of like, oh, I didn't expect the character to do that sort of thing, because I was really getting into it and really getting into the character, and I honestly just was blown away by this. I thought it was a fantastic film, and I'm glad it did that. It's nice to go into a film and have that experience, because you honestly aren't sure what to expect, and it's nice to be surprised in that way.
Yeah, its humour is quite dark, but you heard Tilly's mother in that clip there, and the actress plays her is
Judy Davis.
Yeah, Judy, she's fantastic in the film.
She is.
She's got the way she actually just does her dialogue is in a very witticistic nature. It is brilliant, but then Kate Winslet pretty much blows her in the water as well, because she handles a character in multiple different levels. She goes into this small little town where she was born, sort of like high and mighty, coming back after an incident that happened 20 years, 30 years prior, and she's Miss High and Mighty because she's wearing these opulent dresses and all that kind of stuff. Yet she's starting to come down to earth with the characters in there, and so you've got a police officer who's in there, the only one who's in there, who's sort of like got a very
Hugo Weaving is in. He's fully playing it for laughs, and it's so tongue in cheek, but it's so hysterically funny. It's just he's a scene stealer. It is a scene stealer.
It's like he's reprising his role from Priscilla, Queen of the Desert.
Yeah,
kind of thing from that. And so it's the film itself is just when you think that you've got it pegged down, it then decides to turn around a corner and it goes into a different direction, and then it goes back, and then it throws other things at you, and so it's trying different things. And it's not one of those movies where it takes a lot of traits, throws them at the wall, and wonder what sticks. It takes that trait and actually walks up to the wall and pins it there and says, you know what, we're going with this for this little bit of the section of the film, and we're going to stick with that, and then we're going to go to a different one and pins up the next one. So then it flows along properly like a jigsaw puzzle. And so it definitely works, and because all the performances are top notch, it did surprise me as well. So I went to see this at the cinema, and I reviewed it for the cinema section. And
I managed to see it at the cinema, but only just literally the last showing before it was out of the cinemas, and it was packed as well. It was quite busy, and it was a great. It was a crowd pleaser. It got the laughs it needed. It was
Everybody in the cinema got it. It wasn't those movies which divided people down the middle. Everybody in the cinema enjoyed the film for what it is.
Yeah.
And so I really liked the film as well. It's nice to get a surprise movie, and this was definitely one of those surprise films.
Yeah.
Backtrack. Now we're sticking with Australia because this film is set in Australia as well. Directed by Michael Petroni. It's got Adrian Brody in it, who does the worst Australian accent possible. You don't know if he's doing Australian, New Zealand, South African, American, English. His accent is all over the place. And remember Haley Joel Osment's character in The Sixth Sense when he turned around to Bruce Willis and revealed his ultimate secret, that he can see dead people?
Yep.
Guess what? Adrian Brody's character can see dead people. He is a psychiatrist of sorts, and he keeps on seeing these patients. However, these patients are dead. And so he goes along to this other psychiatrist to try and seek help, who's played by Sam Neill. Lo and behold, Sam Neill's character is dead. And it's up to Adrian Brody.
Spoiler.
It's not very much of a spoiler because it's actually in the trailer as well. And so it's up to Adrian Brody's character to piece together what's going on and ultimately find out why are these things haunting him, and could there be something else involved. There's no clip for it because it's a small release film, and it pretty much does exactly what it says on the tin or cover or box or IMDb page or anything like that. You want to see a blurb underneath the trailer on YouTube. It is very straightforward. It doesn't try to do anything different. It doesn't go with any kind of scares. It has a few little interesting moments in the film itself. It's a switch on, 90 minutes later, switch off, credits have finished, and you go, I can't actually remember most of that. It is a completely forgettable kind of film where it is just going to be on shelves for a few weeks and then ultimately thrown onto the $5.99 stuff, and then you'll get it in 4 for £10 kind of stuff, and then you'll find it in a pound shop or somewhere like that in about a year's time for £1, and you'll go, ooh, the cover looks good, don't mind spending £1 on that. You'll put it in, watch it, can't remember that. It is a pretty much forgettable kind of film. It's nothing special, but it's nothing terrible.
It must be better than the next film then.
I have not seen the next film. So
yeah, I know you haven't, but I have, unfortunately, which is Extraction.
50 Shades of Black.
Extraction. It's directed by Stephen C. Miller. It has Bruce Willis in the film. But only in a small here's the cash in the film in a small, obviously cash in the paycheck role. The main character is played by Kellen Lutz, who plays his son. Bruce Willis plays a CIA experienced operative who is kidnapped. His son is a CIA sort of agent in training sort of thing, and ends up going rogue to try and rescue him. Ends up teaming up with his father's old partner, played by Gina Carino, and the two of them go to try and find him and get him back. And it's just one of these things. It's terribly written. It's awful. Kellen Lutz is, a piece of cardboard. A cardboard cutout of Kellen Lutz could probably act better than Kellen Lutz. It's a complete mess of just waste of time, waste of money. You wonder how. First of all, Kellen Lutz keeps getting roles. Second of all, how Bruce Willis was actually agreeing to do this. He must have been paid, a lot of money for a day's work or something. And it's one of these things that you'll see it in the bargain box. You'll look at it and you will go at the poster. You go, oh, it's good. Oh, it's got Bruce Willis in it, and it'll be one of these ones. You'll come like by the end of it, you'll be like, Bruce Willis, you lied to me, sort of a thing. And it's like, Extraction. The only thing I can think of that it relates to for me is the extraction of teeth, because that would have been less painful than watching Extraction, the film. It's awful. It's garbage. It really is.
At least they're getting released direct to DVD, unlike his Legend of Hercules.
Yeah, but it's like, how often do I actually call a film garbage?
Yeah, it's rare, but I think it's very understandable when it comes to Killing Lutz, because I don't even think that. Have you seen a film in that you actually liked him in?
Supposedly he was in one of the Twilight films, but I don't remember him.
He was in all of them.
Was he? Oh, well. Goes to show, doesn't it?
Yeah, he was in all of them. I think he played a CGI badger or something. He was definitely in all of them. And then he did Arena with Samuel L. Jackson, which is awful. He was in Legend of Hercules, and he was also in Expendables.
Legend of Hercules was just off. And Legend of Hercules it's directed by Rennie Harlin, who once was great and did, Die Hard 2 and Long Kiss Goodnight and Cliffhanger. Now he does things like that and
Showed up in a film called Experimenter. It was Peter Sarsgaard and Winona Ryder.
I reviewed it last week or the week before.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't remember him.
Yeah,
I just recently saw that. I do not remember him in it.
And he's got 5 more films on the wheel: The Feud, SFV1, Adi Shankar's Gods and Secrets, Nest, and Money. I know what 5 films I'm going to avoid them.
Oh dear. Let's move on.
Hyena Road, the next film. Directed by Paul Gross. Now, people might recognise the name if you ever watched this TV series in the 90s called Due South.
Yeah.
He played Benton, I think it was his character.
Benton Fraser. I've actually got the entire series on DVD because I loved it. It's brilliant. Benton Fraser, Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Yeah, and his dog Diefenbaker. Yeah, thank you kindly.
I remember the dog off by heart, but his character I had cycle through my brain there. But yeah, he was in that, and I wondered what actually happened to him. And so he went off, pretty much disappeared, and now he directs films. So he directs films, writes them, and stars in them. And so this is directed by Paul Gross, and he stars in the film itself. And it's set in the sort of like, it's not specifically choosing a war setting, but from the kind of feel that you get, it's very Iraqi kind of war. And it's just about, it's like 3 different men that's involved in the Iraqi war, and the kind of elements that soldiers have to go through. So a soldier on the front line, or Paul Gross's character who plays a sergeant who works on the background of stuff, and so he's in the intelligence areas there. When the soldiers have actually gone out there, he says, this is where you need to go, or tries to relay information back to higher ups. And so it is set during specifically the Iraqi-esque kind of war, but it never alludes to that. And it's just about their lives. There's no clip for it because it's a very direct-to-DVD kind of film, and it really does feel like the direct-to-DVD, because you can understand that their budget is never going to be anywhere near a Black Hawk Down or Zero Dark 30 or any kind of film like that, American Sniper. It's got a feeling of American Sniper, so it's never going to have a budget of that. But it never even fully utilises the budget that it's got, because the film itself is mind-numbingly dull. And when it does get to the action set pieces and tries to wake you up there, I think you're pretty much fast asleep already. So I just found myself bored through the 2 hours that it's on. It's not an hour and a half movie. It drags and just pulls its feet through the sand, trying to add elements like, there's 2 soldiers who fell in love with each other, and now one of them, she finds out she's pregnant kind of storyline. And also this soldier, he's having a hard time of the war, and Paul Gross's character, who plays a sergeant, is trying to be nice to pretty much everybody, and so he has a friendship with an Iraqi person who he gets to go in and find information out, and so he has cups of tea with him on the base and all that kind of stuff, and it's dull. It really is very dull. It's the stuff that you would expect to be shown on Channel 5 at midnight, because they can't think of anything else to throw in that slot. Completely forgettable.
Okay, Dragon Blade, which is directed by Daniel Lee, written and directed by Daniel Lee. It is I'm not sure if it is a true story or not, or if it's it's based on true events or something. But it is a film it was a Chinese production which did get a release in cinemas here very briefly. Got a big IMAX release in China and was a real big sort of successful film there. It is a film that's set in 46 BC. You have a Chinese sort of a little kind of like an outpost village that's on in a desert, in a sort of a rundown sort of town that's it's a little one of these little kind of forts with a wall and everything. They're sort of and amongst them is this sort of group of kind of defenders. They're sort of referred to as a small team led by Jackie Chan's character, and they end up coming up against a small contingent of Roman soldiers led by John Cusack's character, who initially sort of they fight. They end up sort of befriending them, taking them in, and them sort of helping them to rebuild their city in return for them guiding them to their next location where they're trying to get to. They're actually on the run from a bigger group of Romans led by Adrian Brody's character, who is out to get them and kill his sort of younger brother, who is a potential threat to him, being kind of the next leader of things. It is a film which is really it's not a great film. It has some moments that are good. It has some nicely choreographed action sequences in it, but it's a bit all over the place. It doesn't have a sort of set direction of where it's going. It does have this really weird moment where it kind of does it turns into something like Australian rugby, where you have the two sides. You have the Chinese characters are practicing their martial arts in front of everyone, and then the Romans kind of go, "Oh no, we better do this. We better do one better than this. We'll go up and we'll do our chanting and our sword play and everything like that, and do all that as well." And it literally, I sat there and I was like, "Am I watching Australian rugby or am I watching a Chinese action film?" And it's not boring or bad. It's just by the end of it you go, that bit was good, that bit was good, that bit was good, and the rest of it I was kind of like, yeah, whatever sort of thing. It's not brilliant, it's not terrible, but it's really quite disappointing if you're looking for a Jackie Chan action film, because it does have him in a couple of fights, but it doesn't really have the Jackie Chan that you come to expect now.
Sort of like indicative of what we've actually reviewed this week on DVD and Blu-ray, apart from the Dressmaker.
Yeah.
It's not that the Dressmaker is that like this big, huge, massive blockbuster, so it's not going up against the other films that are scared to go up against it.
This does have scale. This does have sense of being sort of almost epic in scale and drive and what it's doing. It's just John Cusack as a Roman and Adrian Brody as a Roman, and I just sat there and I was kind of like, when John Cusack turns out right at the beginning, you're kind of going, what? Well, okay, and then halfway through it, Adrian Brody turns up, and you just kind of go, what? And I just kind of sat there.
Does he see dead people and he's trying to find out if he's gone cuckoo?
No, I think he might already be cuckoo, but it's just honestly, it's one of these things that you got to really, really be willing to go with it to finish it without sitting there and kind of questioning, what did I just watch?
I pretty much say that with pretty much every single film I watch anywhere in the DVD section, apart from the big releases. When we get to the small stuff, what have I been watching? Why am I watching that? And that's it for this week's show. When it comes to new releases, TV movies of the week.
I've got two on Saturday and Sunday. Saturday the 19th at 11:05 PM on Film 4 is Rush, which is the Ron Howard directed. It's not Formula 1, is it? Is it Formula 1?
Yeah.
This one, the one with James Blunt and I forget his name now. Ayrton Senna. Which has got great performances in it. In particular for not Niki Lauda, isn't it? Not Ayrton Senna. Who the character played by Daniel Bruhl, who does a brilliant performance in the film. But the star of it really is the sound mix. It's got an amazing sound mix, which unfortunately being at 11 o'clock at night is not great. But if you can watch it with really good sounds, put some headphones on, watch it, and turn up the volume to 11. And you'll probably go deaf, but it's worth it for that film. But my TV movie of the week is probably a bit surprising for you. Sunday the 20th at 9 o'clock on Channel 5 is Tower Block, which is a little independent British film which I saw at the cinema when it got a tiny release, and I was pleasantly surprised by it. Good thriller that I, as it is predictable, but a good thriller that I didn't see coming really. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, I didn't like Tower Block that much.
I thought it was good. It surprised me. As much as it is predictable, it did surprise me, and pleasantly so.
Yep, I've got two as well. The first one is on Tuesday the 15th at 10:55. I'm just mentioning it because I wanted as many people to see the film. Drew Goddard gets a mention again. Cabin in the Woods.
Yeah.
It's on 5-star. Tuesday the 15th at 10:55. Enough said with that. But my TV movie of the week is on the Horror Channel on Wednesday the 16th at the same time, 10:55. It's The Seasoning House. Paul Wyatt film. It's a
very graphic film.
Apart from the last 10 minutes, which I felt like the last 10 minutes of the film itself is a bit of a cop-out the way it actually ends, I think he builds up a hell of a lot of tension. He's worked alongside Neil Marshall on pretty much every single Neil Marshall, actually, every single Neil Marshall film that he's done. But yeah, he worked on the creature design in The Descent, and he worked on the sequel as well. But Paul Wyatt, he's a decent director, and I think The Seasoning House it's better than Hell. Hell was a film that I reviewed about a month and a half ago, which was about werewolves on a train, and it didn't work for me. Whereas this one, it's a very tense film. It's about a girl in a brothel. That's all I'm going to leave it at that. But yeah, it's graphic. It's very graphic at times. But yeah, it's very unnerving. It's definitely worth a watch. So that's on. That's my choice anyway. Horror Channel, 10:55 on Wednesday the 16th. And that's it for this week. What's your overall movie of the week?
It's Kung Fu Panda 3.
And mine is The Witch. Simple as that. But if you want to rent a movie out, definitely watch The Dressmaker. It's worth a watch.
It is. A DVD release is very, very good.
Yep, on that front. We will be back not next Sunday, so it'll either be next Monday or Tuesday. We have pretty much a very diverse selection of films when it comes.
I thought you were going to say Divergent there.
No, diverse selection of films. If you thought this week's show was diverse, next week's is even more so when it comes to cinema section and Blu-ray and DVD. There are some big hitters, including things like 10 Cloverfield Lane. I'm glad that there isn't any spoilers leaking out from America because they got it this week. We don't get it until Friday, so a week later, and I'm not looking for any spoilers whatsoever. We've also got animation film in Norm of the North and horror with The Boy, and even on Blu-ray and DVD we've got everything from The Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 2 to Carol to Black Mass to Steve Jobs. However, we'll play you out with a clip from High Rise, but make sure you check out the website first, mondaymovieshow.co.uk. Also follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/Monday Movie Show, Twitter at Monday Movie Show. I'm at Cryptic Tadpole, Andrew's at EHDVD. You can email us as well, mondaymovieshow@yahoo.com. We'll play you out with a clip for High Rise, and we'll see you sometime next Monday or Tuesday. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Dr. Lamb, I hear you play squash.
Yes, I do. You built all this.
Dreamt, conceived. I hardly roll my sleeves up. Of course, project's far from finished. Over 5 towers in all, circling the lake. Something like an open hand. The lake is the palm, and we stand on the distal phalanx of the index finger. There. I put all my energies into this tower. I'm its midwife, so to speak.
It looks like the unconscious diagram of some kind of psychic event.
Well, that's good. I'll use that.
By all means.